Russian security forces appear to be urging Putin to intensify war against Ukraine. Ukraine strikes disguised military factories in Rostov and Leningrad regions, and why Scholz blocks new German assistance package to Ukraine. The latest news next. The targets of the airstrike on Russian territory on the night of January 10th included, among other things, hidden military facilities, according to Andriy Kovalenko, head of Ukraine's Center for Countering Disinformation. They were attacked in the Rostov and Leningrad regions. Russia disguises military factories as ordinary, trying to hide their real production. But everything is known, Kovalenko wrote. An airstrike was carried out on Russian territory on the night of January 10th. Explosions were reported in the Rostov region. According to Russian channels, several facilities were attacked. Specifically in the village of Krim, it appears that a UAV hit the Plastfactor factory. Relevant footage was shared online. Another location where fire footage emerged was the city of Gatchina in the Leningrad region. Local residents heard muffled explosions, after which a massive column of smoke could be seen several kilometers away from the incident site. A fire broke out in an industrial zone around 6 a.m. on Industrial Street. The exact causes of the incident are unknown. Later, the Ministry of Emergency Situations confirmed that in the Leningrad region, a building in an industrial zone was burning across an area of 1,600 square meters. Ukraine began striking Russian oil facilities only in 2024 to deprive the enemy of resources and reduce the flow of oil, revenue and fuel that Russia directly channels into the war and the killing of Ukrainian citizens. In addition to refineries and oil depots, Ukraine also targets military factories, air bases and weapon depots. On the night of January 10th, Russia launched 72 UAVs of the Shahed type and Decoy drones against Ukraine. Air defense forces managed to destroy 33 of them, according to the Air Force of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The drones were launched from the directions of the Russian cities of Milerovo, Oryol, Bryansk and Primorsk-Akhtarsk. The response to the attack involved aviation, anti-aircraft missile forces, electronic warfare units, mobile fire groups of the Air Force and Defense Forces of Ukraine. As of 9 a.m., 33 Shaheds and other types of drones were destroyed in the Poltava, Kyiv, Sumy, Cherkasy, Chernihiv regions and several other areas. The attack resulted in 5 strikes on enterprises and agricultural buildings in the frontline area in the northern Chernihiv region. 1 person was injured. In the Kyiv region, a drone crashed into a residential building, causing damage to 24 cars as well. 34 drones were lost without causing harm. 1 of them flew back toward Russia. Senior Russian security officials seem to assess that Russia needs to intensify its war against Ukraine rather than seek a negotiated exit. They are not ready to give up the war because of heavy losses, according to the US Institute for the Study of War. Before presenting their conclusion, the analysts recalled a new article by Medusa. It stated that Russian security officials and the Russian military may recognize that Russian troops are not achieving significant territorial success proportional to the losses in manpower and equipment they suffered during the fighting. It was said that the Russian military command has so far suffered exorbitant personal losses in exchange for tactical but not operationally significant successes. In turn, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's theory of victory is based on accepting such losses as long as the Russians continue to advance on the territory of Ukraine. However, Russia's average daily advances slowed by about 9 square kilometers in December 2024. After 3 consecutive months of increasing territorial gains and casualties in September, October, and November. In this regard, the Russian military combat may be less prepared than Putin to suffer such high losses in the pace of Russian troop advances continues to slow. At the same time, the Russian military and security forces do not seem ready to give up the war because of these losses. Instead, they are allegedly in favor of Putin intensifying Russia's military efforts. In particular, he has called for an additional partial conscription of reservists and an official decision to declare martial law. The military is probably doing this hoping that the battlefield will be filled with manpower and equipment, ISW's conclusion. Analysts continue to believe that Putin is resisting a partial forced conscription of reservists or further mobilization of the Russian economy, as such decisions would be extremely unpopular with Russians and would further exacerbate Russia's labor shortage and economy. At the same time, it remains unclear whether a group of Russian military and security officials calling for further mobilization of the labor force and economy will be able to convince Putin to take more drastic measures to satisfy Russian troops in the war against Ukraine. But the ISW suggests that the growing losses of personnel, as well as problems with the voluntary recruitment of people for the war, may force Putin to conduct involuntary partial conscription of reservists soon. A few days ago, namely on the morning of January 7, 2025, Russia's losses in the war against Ukraine exceeded 800,000 soldiers since February 24, 2024, as evidenced by the data of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. At the same time, Russia continues to lose almost 2,000 soldiers a day almost every day. US President-elect Donald Trump has stated that Russian President dictator Vladimir Putin wants to meet with him. The meeting is already in the works, reports Reuters. Trump's statement came on Thursday, January 9th in the US during his speech before a meeting with Republican governors at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
A ton of world leaders have called you as well. We understand still no call with Putin. Is that a day one or week one call?
No, he wants to meet, and we're setting it up. President Xi, we've had a lot of communication, and we have a lot of meetings set up with a lot of people. Some have come, but I'd rather wait till after the 20th.
And when you say meet with Putin or meet with Xi, do you guys want to have some kind of a summit, or are they going to come here?
To be determined, but President Putin wants to meet. He's said that even publicly. And we have to get that war over with. That's a bloody mess.
Several other media outlets interpret that translation with Trump saying, "and we are working on it." However, he did not specify any dates for the meeting. Based on Trump's remarks, some media outlets are already reporting that negotiations are also underway with Chinese President Xi Jinping, referring to a separate meeting. What did Putin say about the conversation with Trump? In November, the Washington Post reported that after his victory in the US presidential elections, Trump and Putin had a phone conversation allegedly on the 7th. However, both the Kremlin and Donald Trump denied the call. At the end of December, during the so-called annual direct line with Putin, the Russian president personally denied speaking with the US president-elect, while also stating that he was ready for a meeting. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has been withholding approval for a new large military assistance package for Ukraine that is being proposed by Ukrainians' foreign and defense ministries, reported by German newspaper Spiegel, with reference to its sources, as reported by European Pravda. About details, according to Spiegel, the German government, which is approaching early elections, has been debating additional military assistance for Ukraine for weeks. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock from the Greens Party and Defense Minister Boris Pistorius, a fellow Social Democrat like Scholz, reportedly proposed allocating an additional 3 billion euros to provide Ukraine with critically needed weapons before the early elections on the 23rd of February. The package was assembled based on Ukrainians' request. It reportedly included 3 additional RST batteries with interceptor missiles, additional interceptors for Patriot systems, 10 self-propelled howitzers and artillery ammunition. However, it remains unclear whether the German side was prepared to provide all these items. Baerbock and Pistorius believed this package would send a strong message to Ukraine that German support would not decrease. They intended to request that the German Parliament Budget Committee approve an extraordinary expenditure, such as mechanism has been used in the past, arguing that urgent needs could not have been foreseen earlier. They pointed, among other things, to the challenging situation on Ukraine's Eastern Front, Russian advances and uncertainties surrounding future US support given Donald Trump's return to the White House. Since January, however, progress on the package has stalled due to signals from Scholz's office indicating opposition to the additional spending. According to Spiegel, Scholz's office argues that there is no critical necessity for the package. It believes that the assistance already planned will suffice in the short term and does not want to impose decisions on the incoming government, which will be formed after the spring elections. The 2025 budget includes 4 billion euros for military assistance. It is also anticipated Ukraine will use the $50 billion G7 loan financed by frozen Russian assets. Without Scholz's approval, the package cannot proceed. Sources within the Social Democratic Party of Germany suggest Scholz's real motives are electoral, as he fears losing support among undecided voters. In contrast, the Greens hope to gain political points by advocating increased defense spending and active support for Ukraine. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe.